We are here today at the Connecticut Convention Center. Today is an exciting day. It's a beautiful day outside because we are actually here to enjoy and also hear a dynamic speaker, Laura Ling. We're here at the In the Company of Women Luncheon. And can you believe it? It's been 18 years that they've actually been hosting this wonderful event for women, and 1,300 women will be here today. And right here next to me, I have Laura Ling. Laura Ling is a very well-known journalist, and some of you probably even know her story, and she's going to share it with us. But she was held captive in March of 2009 in North Korea. And first of all, I'd like to just give you a hearty welcome to Hartford, Connecticut. Thank you just so much for coming here today.
Thank you.
And
It's a pleasure to be here.
thank you. And you came here today on a warm day, not on a snowy day.
I'd like to say that I helped bring some of the California sunshine with me, but I'm not. So you're welcome.
Well, thank you. Well, listen, how did it all come about that you were invited here today? I think it was a worthy vote to probably say, hey, Laura's the one that we'd like this year to be our guest keynote speaker at the In the Company of Women Luncheon. But how did it all come about?
Well, I feel so honored. I felt honored to be asked by the YWCA to serve as their keynote speaker this year. The YWCA is such an institution in our country, but they've been doing such great work in the Hartford area. So when they asked me, I couldn't say no. Also, when you get over 1,000 women in a room, it's just really exciting, and there's a lot of great energy in the room. So I'm just thrilled to be here.
It's powerful. You're right. You're so right about that. I love that you've always focused on the trafficking of women. And I want you to just share a little bit about your story and what it meant to be held captive in North Korea during that time.
Well, I was in that region covering a story. I was there, a journalist working to shine a light on an issue about women, North Korean women who are being trafficked across the border with China, and they face a very uncertain fate. Many are sold into marriages to Chinese men. Others are lured into the prostitution industry once they are trafficked across that border. And while filming that documentary, my colleague Yuna and I became captives in North Korea, and then sort of the focus shifted to us. It was the most frightening time in my life, but when I returned, it was also very awkward to have that spotlight be on us when I went to shine a spotlight on these women and these brave women who are enduring so much.
I remember that so many people were advocating for your release, and I know your sister, of course, was one of the key individuals too who was behind that effort. And what's happening now with human trafficking right now in North Korea? And just tell us a little bit about, what are the other types of stories that you're working on to, again, continue to shine a light on this very important issue?
Well, it's still a very real issue. The situation in North Korea is grave. I mean, the hunger situation is very serious, and right now there's been a lot of talk about very aggressive talk about military action. So as we speak, people are being trafficked across that border, and the majority of people who escape or are smuggled across that border in North Korea are women. China has a one-child policy, and because of that, there's been a huge gender imbalance because many of the girls have been aborted, baby girls. And so there's a demand for women, and one of the places where women are coming from or being trafficked from to become brides to Chinese men are from North Korea.
And today, share with us what your message is going to be to the 1,300 women who are here for the Company of Women Luncheon.
Well, I have a few messages. In my talk, I don't talk just about what's happening in North Korea or what happened to me in North Korea. I also talk about people that I've met, situations that I've reported on over the years around the world, many of them having to do with democracy and issues of freedom, as well as my own loss of freedom. So I think that one of my messages is about the value of our own freedom. I mean, here in the United States, we have this luxury, this right, and I want people to just sort of cherish that right instead of take it for granted, which so many of us often do. And what do we do with our liberty? Sort of what responsibility do we have as citizens of this country to do better and be better, and to what should we be doing to give back to our community?
Well, as a mother, and you also have a daughter, and it's my understanding that your sister Lisa Ling just had a daughter, and you shared with me earlier that her name was Jet. I love the name. What does that feel like when they're young, clearly, but what do you want to convey to your own daughter about situations such as this when you talk about women and how serious situations such as this is in democracy for women?
Well, I want my daughter and my niece to grow up to be strong women and to follow their hearts and to do good in the world. One of the messages that I have for the girls here today that are receiving support from the YWCA is that, women and girls need to hold each other up and need to support one another. And too often that does not happen, where we look at women as our competitors and there's a lot of cattiness going on. But we really need to look at each other as our sisters and hold each other up.
And one last question. What's the next story that you're working on?
It's a good question. I'm sort of between projects right now. I'm working for the E! Network for their documentary series where I do, I cover issues that impact young Americans. So I've done stories on bullying and teen suicide. And I just finished a story about illegal parties that are happening on like Facebook and Twitter, where people send the messages out through Facebook and Twitter. But right now I'm between projects, so your guess is as good as mine.
And how would we look for your work even here?
Well, you can watch my documentary series called E! Investigates on the E! Network, and I'm also reporting for the independent channel KCET in Los Angeles, but you can go to kcet.org to find some of my reports on their website.
Well, we definitely look forward to it, and again, just thank you so much for coming to Hartford, Connecticut here for this wonderful event. And again, take care and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you.